Welcome to Daily Ad Brief. I'm Christina Daves, your host of PR Champions, and today we are headed to Montclair, New Jersey to chat with Stu Zakim of Bridge Strategic Communications. Welcome, Stu.
Oh, thank you for having me, Christina. Good day.
All right, let's talk cannabis. That's definitely a niche that you have. Obviously, a huge market right now. What do you do for your clients in that space?
Um, besides generate media relations efforts like getting stories into mainstream press, not just the cannabis press, because the ultimate goal is to help change the perception of today's cannabis consumers and those in the industry. Historically, there's a certain Cheech and Chong association people seem to have with those in the cannabis industry, and we are totally different. So I really want to show and highlight who today's cannabis consumer is.
I love that. So, how do you build that newsworthy story? How do we get out of the Cheech and Chong? Maybe you could share an example of something you've done with a client.
Sure. Well, I have a client that's pretty well known in New York called the Happy Monkey. And just recently on 710, which is another national cannabis holiday which celebrates oil, it's 710 is oil upside down or the other way around. And we had a beautiful rooftop party in New York City. You're allowed to consume cannabis anywhere you can consume tobacco. So outdoor rooftops are ideal situations where we had 240 people in a very mellow atmosphere. Obviously, we had music, we had a DJ, and I invite media. So the way to get that message out is to have media come experience an Happy Monkey event, which last year we did one at Van Gogh at the Immersive Van Gogh exhibit, which the New York Times showcased in a major feature that absolutely went a long way towards our goal of changing the conversation about cannabis.
Love that. So how can a small cannabis company, you're just breaking into the industry, you're not ready to hire Stu yet. What's one piece of advice you'd give to somebody like that starting out to get some coverage, to get some press?
First, they should network. They should go to any local events that are in their market because that's where you're going to meet people in the industry as well as media because they're all there to network. Um, and the media in this space, you have to start slow like in anything else. I would advise them to get active on LinkedIn and on other social media platforms and start posting thought leadership things such as op-eds or do a video of themselves explaining why they're in cannabis. And that stuff can go viral, especially if you use the right hashtags and it doesn't cost a penny. So that would be my first recommendation to anyone just putting their foot in the water or opening a business because there's also a lot of restrictions on what you can do with traditional marketing tactics that PR solves that issue by making anything connected to cannabis news.
I love that. So you obviously have a niche in that, but you've also done some fun stuff with TV and film. Any great story you
Oh,
want to share
yeah.
with us on one you worked on?
Oh, well, I've been very lucky that I've had a great career, one that I've enjoyed immensely, don't really consider working. And interestingly, cannabis has been like a theme throughout my career. When I was in movies at Columbia Pictures, I worked on a couple Cheech and Chong films and actually got high with them. At Universal, I did Half Baked, which is a classic comedy that Dave Chappelle and Jim Brewer got high in my bathroom in my office. And I also launched Weeds helped launch Weeds at Showtime. So one funny episode is for one of the seasons we did a scratch and sniff strip in Rolling Stone. So if you scratch it, it smelled like weed. And actually, it didn't smell like stale weed, but that's a whole nother story. I was my connoisseur stepping in there, and they're like, "Nah, who cares? It's just a gag." Um, and I worked at Rolling Stone magazine for quite a long time. I ran the backstage at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremonies where the inductees came to Q&A for 18 years. So I got to meet every rock star that I grew up worshiping. I have tons of photos. Um, And not enough stories. I mean, too many stories to tell you in a 5 minute window. That's for sure.
Oh my gosh, Stu, this might be one of my most fun interviews. You certainly are the person, though, for cannabis, so that's fantastic. But thank you for joining us today. That was really great.
Well, thank you for having me, Christina, and take care.
So, to learn more about Stu and Bridge Strategic Communications, head over to Daily Ad Brief. I'm Christina Daves, your host of PR Champions, and I'll see you next time.